Giving people a chance to find it here. All right, come on in, everybody. Welcome back to the Holler. Justin here. Hang on, let me change that layout. That doesn't look great. This was better. TNHoller.com, at the TN Holler on Twitter and Facebook. We've also got hollers across the state, including in Clarksville, which is near and dear to my heart. I ran for Congress. One of the places that I ran was in Clarksville. Spent some time up there with a young man named Jason Hodges, who eventually he won. I lost. He went to the state house, served there admirably for 4 years, and is now stepping down. And Ronnie Glynn, who we're talking to today, is running to replace Jason Hodges up in Clarksville for State House. Ronnie, how are you today?
Oh, not too bad, Justin. I mean, it's a beautiful day outside. What else could you ask for?
Yeah, not much. So you're running in Clarksville. Uh, I guess tell us a little bit about what made you decide to run. I know you've run before. So what made you decide to take up this race?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I ran for state senate for 22, District 22. And this time it was more Jason. He called me out after he decided to retire and to pursue other things in his life. So he gave me a call and asked me pretty much, hey, can you take the reins and keep running with him? As someone who's always been committed to serving, especially after 23 years of military service, and retiring as a veteran, it seemed only right to do that. I don't know. I don't think I've ever said no to a challenge. So I think it was only fair that I continue to do public service and try to do the things that need to be done for constituents of Clarksville.
Well, as tempted as I am to make this about the dirt on Jason Hodges, I want to ask you instead about your service. Can you tell us a little bit? 23 years is a really long time. First of all, thank you for that. And then, what can you tell us about your service in the 23 years that you spent in the military?
So 23 years, retired in 2014, retired as a master sergeant. Um, After retirement, let me just say, while I was in, I did do 3 combat tours, 2 to Afghanistan and 1 to Iraq, to include a couple of other overseas services that were not combat related. Uh, they took me through, 82nd Airborne, over in Italy, over in uh, Korea, and again, they brought me back here to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, where my wife and I settled down. I was actually born and raised in Tennessee, actually West Tennessee, a small town over in West Tennessee, about 650 people. I always tell the joke we had one red light and it was a flashing light, so not very big, but it did bring me back, and Tennessee is my home, and I just enjoy it. My wife and I, we've been married for 30 years. We have 4 kids, 11 grandkids. I'm a small business owner, uh, big part of Big Brothers Big Sister, former chair of the Montgomery County Democratic Party. So I've been pretty busy, and I try to stay that way. Um, I think it helps me keep my mind going, stay active, continue to serve, continue to do the things that I believe will help other people in life, and that's what I want to do.
So just to pick up on your service for a second, first of all, again, thank you for it. You laid your life on the line to preserve this democracy. What does it make you think to see what we're going through as a country right now, and what I think is pretty clearly an all-out assault on democracy and the values that you fought for? What's going through your mind when you see this?
It hurts me. It hurts me to know that uh, as a civilized country who's seen so much uh, destruction and taking the rights of people throughout time. I mean, we know what it's like to take someone's right. This country unfortunately had a dark time when that was the norm. And so to revert back to that, to where we're now telling people, telling women in particular, what you can and cannot do, uh, when we have no right to do that, we have no business telling someone what they can and cannot do. Um, my wife and I, when we make a decision in our home, that decision is between her and I. It's not a decision between a politician or a lawyer or anyone. When we go to the doctor, when we have a doctor's appointment, that what we decide in that doctor's office is between us. It has nothing to do with anyone else. So when I see what we're doing in terms of taking rights and criminalizing, I mean, we're talking about criminalizing women for making a decision that affects them and their life, and that's a problem. I mean, I have a serious problem with that. Uh, and I don't like to do this, but as a black man, we've seen again what happens when you have this kind of thing where you just want to tell people what they can and cannot do. For so many years, that was again the norm for this country. So how can we go back to doing something like that? And it bothers me deep in my soul. It really does. So I want to make sure. And tomorrow, I think tomorrow we go into this trigger law that again, it as a man who believe in individual rights, and I believe that it's not my place to tell someone what they can and cannot do. I am upset. It bothers me to my soul.
So, yes, you're right. Tomorrow is the trigger ban. We're going to see, I'm sure, protests throughout the state. And I know there's a big gathering in Nashville for sure
Mhm.
with doctors. They're calling it healthcare in handcuffs. Are you seeing this issue motivating people in Clarksville specifically? Because last night we saw some results on the East Coast that showed that abortion actually tipped a race. I think Pat Ryan won a race he was supposed to lose, and he ran on abortion.
Mhm.
So, are you seeing the fact that Republicans have banned abortion, including for life of the mother, which there is no exception for in Tennessee, which I'm just learning and horrified by? Are you finding that treating women as second class citizens in this way is motivating people in Clarksville in your race?
Yeah, unfortunately, again, when you go to talking about taking rights from someone, the way to fix that, the way to show your frustration, and the way to show anger and your uh, just concern about it is through the ballot box. If we remove these ones who are making these decisions uh, that have nothing to do with them, when you go to the ballot box and you vote for the candidate that has your best interest at heart, you can actually make a difference. We all know that voting, and sometimes we forget it, I believe, but this is one opportunity that we cannot forget, that when we vote, we make a difference. So I am, we had a meeting last night, and we have a very good activist that is uh, forming committees and uh, talking about the abortion laws. We are all in. We are adamant about it. We are with our women and our throughout. We want to make sure that those who think that it's okay, like my opponent, that it's okay to tell a woman what to do, we want to make sure we remove them from office. We do not allow them to get in an office so that we can revert back to what is called a civilized society.
So, just to put some illustration on what Ronnie's talking about, this was Pat Ryan last night in a race that turned on abortion. That's the New York Times today. On the right hand side, you can see that dark line. Abortion has leapt up in terms of importance as far as what people feel is one of the main issues in these races. So, that's women's rights, that's women's health care, That's bodily autonomy. And Tennessee is the tip of the spear for that kind of oppression. And then we see these races, Democrats outperforming Biden in these special elections. And that has a lot to do with Roe being overturned. And then Ronnie alluded to his opponent, who I know a little bit about, absolutely on the other side of all of this. I don't want to make you talk about your opponent, but I do want to hear a little bit about uh, your race specifically, because there are only so few seats that are like really in play here, and this is one that I think Democrats would say they really need to defend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you were going to pitch to other people in the state that maybe aren't in Clarksville, why should they care about your seat?
Well, they should care about my race because number one, Montgomery County is growing so fast. We are becoming one of the major players in this state that really can affect the outcome of elections. We can affect them in a way that moves the needle our way to get candidates in office that actually care about the things that we care about. Myself, in particular, education. It is so important that what we're watching and what we're seeing with our education and how we're trying to funnel taxpayers' dollars to private school, private entity, charter schools. That's a problem. That is something that we should not be doing. At Medicaid, I mean, for years we dedicate more money to tourism than we do to our sick. That is, I mean, how is that okay? We have to have elected representatives who care about the things that are actually affecting Tennesseans every day. So that's why they should care about my election, because I am one of them who want to go to Nashville, go up to our state house, and actually get things done that matters, that will affect people's lives in every day, how they live, how we operate. And so I really hope people understand. I hope everyone goes onto my website. I am on all three major social media platforms, and just get to know Ronnie, the individual, and the things that I've done, and what I am running on, and what I stand for.
Let's hear the website specifically and the handles.
So my website is Ronnie for 67. Again, I'm on all three major platforms: Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Uh, you can also email me at Ronnie for 67 at gmail.com. If you have a question or anything, I have no problem with answering any questions. You can also reach out to me on our cell phone. My campaign manager is always there. He's ready to pass on anything that we need to talk about, any issues that you may have that we need to discuss. Well, we're here to do that. And so I ask that you, again, read my platform, follow us on Facebook as we go through this journey, and and help me to get to the state house so that we can make some differences.
Ronnie, thanks for joining us today, man. Good luck to you. Keep in touch, and we'll be watching.
All right. Thank you, Justin. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right.
So that is Ronnie. I don't know how to get you out of here, Ronnie. I just want to. Oh, there we go. Okay. That's Ronnie in Clarksville. Check out his sites. I see a few of you saying some things that I just want to address. Carlos says, we can't tell people what to do. We can't tell folks to stop the killing. Tennessee ain't New York. Okay, so just to address that for a second, nobody's saying Tennessee is New York. Uh, Many people would disagree with you that it's killing to have an abortion. But aside from that, it's just really about where people are. People are not where this law is in this country. People are not for forcing girls and women to carry a rapist child to term. People are not for that in general. People are not for not having a life of the mother exception to the point where healthcare is going to be denied to women who are in need of life-saving healthcare, and denied it because there's no exception in this law. It's written in as an affirmative defense, which means they can try to defend themselves after they've been arrested and when they're on trial. That's very different. So while you may have people who agree with you that, abortion should be illegal in certain situations, where this law is not where most people are. And you're finding that out at the ballot box right now, where Republicans are losing races that they were supposed to win, where Democrats are outperforming Biden. And, these are really extreme draconian measures that are oppressing women, taking away their bodily autonomy, taking away their rights, and they're paying for it at the ballot box. And we're really in an ugly place with this stuff right now, a very extreme radical place. And, there may be a compromise, there may be more of a common ground argument to be made. I mean, a lot of people would just say government doesn't belong in this conversation. I'm not here to try to find that compromise, because I think there need to be female voices in that conversation, and so I'm uncomfortable with trying to find those lines. But what I will say is, I know we are not in general in favor of what this law is going to do tomorrow, Thursday, August 25th. And you're going to see a lot of people speaking out. You're going to see a lot of people motivated to go to the polls, to volunteer, and to support candidates like Ronnie, who is willing to say that women should be able to make their own healthcare choices. And he's running against a guy in Tommy Vallejos who does not believe that. Very extreme guy, very vociferous. I know of him in quite a real way, just having been around him when I ran for Congress in Clarksville. He was running back then. He's who Jason beat to get into office. So, if you care about keeping sensible, reasonable people who care about women's rights in office, and you don't want to see the super minority diminish any further, Ronnie is a race that you should look at getting involved with and helping, probably. That's what I'll say about that. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Uh, Gapper saying tax dollars shouldn't go towards it. Okay, that's a whole other conversation. Again, we can have other conversations about the specifics of an abortion law, but where we are in Tennessee is not where people are in general. This is very oppressive. Forcing teenage girls, I can't even say it without choking up, forcing teenage girls to carry to term when they've been raped, and it happens, is just wrong. And that is not where people are. And so, you can have a discussion about other stuff, tax dollars, where the line maybe should be. I mean, some states don't have a line, other states do. There are conversations to be had. I'm not trying to have that conversation. What I can tell you is where we are in this state is wrong. And I think you're going to see that show up in the ballot box. But until the state becomes more of a voting state than a non-voting state, these people are going to keep passing these laws with impunity. And so I hope you'll help us speak out, and I hope you'll amplify and give Ronnie's race a look. Thanks for following. As always, I'll talk to you soon.